Hello everyone. On behalf of everybody here at BMC, I'd like to welcome you to this edition of Connected Control M. My name is Mark Dobinson and I've been with BMC for the last 15 years and work in the in-control mainframe support team in the United Kingdom. Just before we start, I've got a couple of administration tasks I'd like to cover. Okay then, so let's take a look at today's agenda. Firstly, I'll be going through some terminology that you may hear from me during this webinar. Some of you may be aware of some of these terms already, but I think it's probably worth just going over them for clarification. We'll then take a look at two job ordering processes, one which is current and one which is new. There'll then be a short demonstration followed by a summary, after which you'll be able to have another opportunity to ask any questions you may have that may come out of the webinar. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just to cover some terms that I'll be speaking about during the webinar. The first is Newday. Newday is a process that runs every 24 hours in both the distributed and the zOS environments. When I'm referring to Newday in this presentation, I'm actually referring to the Newday that runs on zOS. Amongst other regular cleanup tasks, Newday can be used for ordering tables. Next term is CTMDAILY. This is a batch utility that's the most common way of ordering tables on a regular basis. This is also sometimes known as User Daily, and is probably a current method for ordering jobs. The next two terms, User Daily Name and Order Method. These are two fields that are coded in each table definition in Enterprise Manager, and these decide how a table will get ordered. The next is Tables and Folders. These two terms are actually interchangeable and mean the same thing really. The term tables is probably better known in the zOS environment, and the terms changed when version 800 on the distributed side came along. So for the sake of confusion, I'll just refer to tables during this, but if you're a distributed person, tables and folders are one and the same thing. Next one is CTMEMUDL, which stands for EM Enterprise Manager, and UDL is User Daily. Now this is a new batch utility that's used for ordering zOS tables using a new method that we'll see in a minute. And last but not least on here, DateRec. Hopefully most of you again should be familiar with this term, but basically this is a facility that stops you from ordering tables twice. So basically rerunning the same job twice and ordering the same tables a second time. And this is used in your current CTMDAILY jobs. Okay, so we'll now go on to the first topic of discussion. We're going to be taking a look at your current CTMDAILY and tell you about the best practice when running this utility. As I said earlier, CTMDAILY is the most common method used for ordering tables in zOS, and it's probably your current method of doing so. Okay, so let's have a look at the two samples that we can see in front of us. We can see there are two different methods of running the same job. The top half shows an example that uses JCL statements, and the bottom one shows an example of using order statements. Our best practice here is actually to use order statements rather than JCL statements, and I'll tell you why. It's really about recovering from failures when running this utility. If we take a look at the first example, table 2, using the JCL method, what would happen if table 2 wasn't there? Now this could be caused for a couple of reasons. Maybe somebody's added a new table to this job and misspelt the table incorrectly. And the second could be that a table definition has been deleted either from Enterprise Manager or on the zOS side, and this JCL hasn't been updated. Both scenarios here would mean that table 2 would not exist when the job runs. By the way, this is a pretty common error that we see here in support on a regular basis. Okay, so let's look at the first example using JCL statements when table 2 doesn't exist. When the job starts, firstly table 1 is read, and any jobs from there are ordered. The job will then try and read the second table, table 2, and because it's not there, the job will append and cause a crash. Because the job is now appended, this means that table 3 won't be ordered, potentially causing delays in your batch processing. In reality, this job will probably have a lot more than 3 tables shown here, so the potential for delays when you have many tables in one job is pretty high. Okay, so now looking at the same scenario, but this time using the second method underneath, using the order methods. Taking the example exactly the same as we did before where table 2 doesn't exist. Firstly, again, the utility will start processing jobs from table 1. However, when it comes to table 2 this time, instead of appending the job, an error message will be issued in the sysout, but this time the ordering process will continue. By the way, if it comes across this scenario during this job, you'll get a non-reserved return code, so it will still show as a job ended as not okay. So looking at the two different outcomes here, we can see that the difference in recovering from this sort of problem between these two methods is somewhat different. Using the first JCL method, you've really got two problems. Firstly, you've got to solve the append itself, so why is the table missing? And second, you still need to order all the tables that weren't ordered in the first run of the job. Looking at the order method, all you really need to do is to resolve why the table is missing, and you don't have to worry about subsequent tables being ordered. So I hope you find that this second method is really of much better use. Okay, so that covers the best practice with CTMDAILY. So don't forget, use order statements rather than JCL statements, and save yourself a potentially big headache should the job fail. Okay, so we're now going to move on to the next topic, which is the new automated method of ordering tables. Okay, the first thing I should mention here is this ordering method is only relative if you create and maintain your tables in Enterprise Manager. So if you're purely a zOS user and don't have Enterprise Manager connected, this method will not be available. This is actually available in both Release 700 and in 800, both on the zOS side and on the Enterprise Manager version side. But for this demonstration, I'll be showing you everything in Release 800. So what's really changed here, and why should you use it, and why was the change made? This new function really brings ordering of zOS tables in line with how they're ordered in the distributed Enterprise Manager environment. This means that you'll just have one order process on tables regardless of whether you're scheduling jobs in zOS or in the distributed environment. By the way, this is also an additional method on top of all current ordering methods for tables. The current methods still all remain the same and will not change. So this change is important really from 2 points of view. Firstly, from scheduling staff, you can use this new method now, and it'll be the same for zOS and Windows Unix environments. And for control room administrators on the mainframe side, it's important that you know how these changes may affect your control M for zOS installation, particularly in the area of your Newday process. Okay, so we'll now go on to look and see what's involved here from both the Enterprise Manager and on the zOS side. On the Enterprise Manager side, there are two fields, which I mentioned earlier, user daily name and order method, which are both coded on each table definition when creating new tables or amending existing ones. We'll take a look at these in a minute. The new things that you'll see on the zOS side, firstly there's a new utility called CTMEMUDL, which we'll come to in a minute. This is basically used for ordering jobs, much the same as CTMDAILY does at the moment. One important thing is that CTMCMEM or Control-O must be running in this environment. And this is because details of the ordering methods in the zOS environment are actually stored in the global variable database and not in the scheduling definition itself. You'll also find there's a new parameter, EMUSDLY, in member CTM Palm, which is set to Y as default. So what you see here is what will happen by default unless you change anything. Okay, so now let's look at this into a bit more detail. Okay, from the Enterprise Manager side, there are two fields in the table definition, which you can see on the screen on the last example. And these are, as we said earlier, the order method and the user daily name. And a combination of these two decide how the table is going to be ordered on zOS. If we look at the three options that are on the screen at the moment, the first one has an order method of none. This is also known as a manual order, as you can see. This means that any tables that have this will be probably ordered by your current CTMDAILY utility. So this is where some of the new stuff comes in now. The second option is automatic. If you set the automatic order method, this means that the table will be ordered by the Newday started task on zOS, and this is something that's new. And last option you can do is to code a specific user daily. And this means that the table will be ordered using the new CTMEMUDL batch utility. There's one other thing to be careful of here. If in the third example, where I've coded a user daily name of user DLY1, if you actually set this to system, then this will have the same effect as the order method of automatic, which means your table will end up getting ordered by Newday rather than CTMEMUDL utility. So what this really means is, in the background, an order method of automatic really means a user daily name of system. So just take care not to get the two mixed up, or you might find tables being ordered by Newday or CTMEMUDL or vice versa. Okay, the next thing we're going to have a look at is the new CTMEMUDL utility. This utility has two functions. First, you can see on screen here is list. And the list function basically allows you to list all user daily names along with associated table names and locations that are known to Control-M. In the first field on the parameter you can see an asterisk. In this case, an asterisk means please list me all the user daily names that Control-M knows about. If you know a specific username, like user DLY1 underneath, you can put that there instead just to show you specific tables. And in the bottom part of the screen you can see a sample of what the report would look like once you've run it. So in that you can see that table 1 is associated with the system, and that will be ordered by your Newday process. And in the second example, table 2, which has a user daily name of user DLY1, this will be ordered using the new CTMEMUDL utility. One other thing to note here, if you have a table with an order method of none in Enterprise Manager, this is not involved in this process. So you won't see any entries at all in this report. Okay, the next function of CTMEMUDL is actually the order function. So this is what is actually going to order the jobs. You can see in the JCL here, you just code emDaily to your user daily name that you want to order. And also note that it requires a unique daterec member. This is exactly the same as will be required in your current CTMDAILY procedures. In the bottom half of the screen you can see some sample output that shows the job being ordered, and messages here are much the same as any regular ordering utility such as CTMDAILY. There are some new messages which I will come on to when we see the demonstration in a minute. Okay, we're just going to move on to the demonstration now, where I'll be showing you firstly the order methods in Enterprise Manager. We'll then look at the CTMEMUDL utility using the list and order that we've just seen. We'll see some sample Newday sysouts so you can see what happens there when the job is set to automatic. And also we'll be creating a new table to show you some of the defaults that get set at that time. If you just give me a minute and I'll share my desktop and we'll switch over to the Enterprise Manager. Okay, so I'll give this a couple of seconds. I know sometimes the refresh rates are a bit slow. Okay, so here in Enterprise Manager version 800, we can see that I've already set up 3 sample tables. Table 1, Table 2 and Table 3, and each will show the different ordering method. Just before we look at them all specifically, down the right hand side here there's a drop down box for order method where you can see the 3 options, automatic, none or specific user daily. Again, if we switch back to Table 1, we can see the order method on this one is set to automatic. And as I said before, this means that the table will be automatically ordered by the Newday process. Then show you table 2. This is an example of an order method of a specific user daily with a user daily name of user DLY1. Again, this table won't be ordered by Newday, but will be ordered by the new utility. Again, take care here that if you select a user daily name of system, this will end up having the effect of making the job look like it's got a order method of automatic. So try and stay away from system when you code user daily names. Moving on to the third table, we can see here that the order method is none. Anything with an order method of none won't be involved in this new process at all, and it's more likely that the job will be ordered using your current CTMDAILY procedure. Okay, so now let's look at the zOS side and see what's involved on that side. Okay, the first thing we can see here is some sample messages that come out of Newday. I've actually split the screen in two with a load of plus statements. Everything on the top of that is what your current Newday will, messages the current Newday will issue. So you can see here that we have a table called main day, which is loaded by default at installation time. Everything below the pluses is where automatic ordering is happening. And this is you'll see here a combination of some old messages and some new messages. The new messages all begin with UDR. So if you need to look at any of these, you need to find out where these are coming from. If you see UDR in the message name, this means it's using this new ordering process. Most of them should be self-explanatory here. We have an 88I, and it says here the request is system. And this is because we're using the automated order method, and that ends up with a user daily name of system. Underneath there you can then see the order statements for any tables that are associated with a system. In this case, as we saw in the Enterprise Manager, table 1 had an order method of automatic, so that's why we see this here. And down the bottom, the last two messages, again prefixed with UDR, just say which user daily names have been processed, and then just an end message. But as I say, if you see any messages with UDR in your Newday, it means it's invoking this new ordering method. Okay, the next thing we should look at is the CTMEMUDL utility using the list option. Okay, this is the JCL that we provided by default, and we can see in the EM daily parameter we've coded asterisk comma list. That means that asterisk means I want you to list all the user daily names that control M knows about, and list is just obviously the list function. Again, if I change asterisk to user DLY1, I would just see the results from the one user daily and not all of them. I go and submit this job, and we can look at the results online. Okay, this is pretty well the same as we saw in the previous screen. The utility will list out all the user daily names, with all the associated table names, and also the location of where the table names are kept. So again, we can see as before, table 1 had an order method of automatic, so that's system, and table 2 had a ordering method which was associated with a user daily name of user DLY1. Okay, so if we now go back to submitting the job, actually ordering using the order function this time. Again, the parameters are slightly different in this job. We have EM daily equals user DLY1. User daily DLY1 being the user daily name that we want to actually order. And as I said earlier, we also need a date rec in here. Again, for those of you who use the current CTMDAILY procedures, it should be well known to you. Predominantly, this is really used to stop you running the same job twice and ordering tables duplicated. I'm just going to submit this job, and we'll see what that comes out like. Okay, so here again we can see all the messages that are issued when this table is being requested to be ordered. Again, we can see all the messages, all the new messages all begin with UDR. And this time the 88i message has an input request of user DLY1 because this is the one we coded in the JCL. Again, underneath we can see all the order statements are associated when this runs. So we can see that table 2 from this library has been ordered and one job has been placed onto the active jobs file. At the end there's another UDR 87i message which just basically says the process has ended. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show you here is how a table looks when you create a new table in the Enterprise Manager GUI to see what default ends up as the order method. What I'm going to do here is to create a blank workspace. Then I'm going to take a zOS definition from the templates and drag it into the planning domain. Select my control M that I want to run it on. And now I'm just selecting the table definition rather than the job definition. And you can see over the right here, the order method has been set to automatic by default. Now this is there is a change between release 800 and 700 of Enterprise Manager. In version 800, the order method will be set to automatic, and in version 700, the order method is actually set to none. Now this is actually a configurable parameter, but it can be changed, but you just need to be aware that this is what will happen by default. Again, if you left this job and then saved it, this job would end up being ordered by Newday, which may not be what you want. Okay, so that concludes a part of the demonstration. So we'll just return to the presentation and recap on what we've seen here so far. Just give me a minute to stop showing my desktop. Okay, so as a summary, firstly we saw a different way of running your current CTMDAILY, which will A, help eliminate abends, and B, makes recovery a lot easier. As I say, this is a best practice, and I think it'll save a lot of headaches in future. We then looked at a new ordering method. So the main points of consideration are, firstly, CTMEMUDL controller must be running in your zOS environment. This is a prereq that is required. Make sure that if you've changed to using this new order method, that you remove the tables from your current CTMDAILY job. Obviously, the last thing we want is all these jobs being ordered twice. And then, just a reminder about the 3 ordering methods. Automatic means the table will be ordered by Newday. Specific user daily means be ordered by the new utility CTMEMUDL. And just to remember that the ordering a user daily name of system ends up being the same as automatic. And last, there's the none parameter, which means you'll just carry on using your current method of ordering these tables. Another thing you need to be aware of, as we said, was the default ordering method when creating new tables. In version 8, this is automatic, and in version 7, this is set to none. And so this is a configurable parameter and can be changed if you need to. One last thing is that the CTMEMUDL procedure can be combined with your current CTMDAILY. There are some instructions in the CTMDAILY procedure that show you exactly how to do this. This means that the sort of processing you'll see in your CTMDAILY afterwards will be the same as we saw in Newday, where we saw the first table being ordered as Newday, as main day, and then the second one taking the automatic method of ordering table 1. Okay, so it's about time for your questions now, but before we get to a Q&A session, I've just got a couple more slides I want to show you. Okay, thank you. First, on behalf of BMC, I'd like to thank you for sparing your time to join us today. At the end of this event, you'll have the opportunity to give us your feedback and also suggest any topics that you'd like to see in any future Connect with Control M sessions. As you can see, the next Control M event will be on Wednesday the 22nd October and will cover Control-M agent connectivity. If you're unable to attend, then you can catch up with all of this and all previous Connect with Control-M presentations by following one of the links at the next slide, where they'll all be recorded. I'd also like to mention that you can follow Control-M on Facebook, Twitter, and also on the BMC communities, links shown. Once again, thank you much for your interest,